Hey up, and welcome to Stupid Ancient History, and today we'll be asking, who the heck is Ptolemy XII? So the short answer is, he's Cleopatra's dad. Ptolemy XII, or Owletes to his mates, because he liked playing the owlers, kind of like a flute, but not like a flute like you'd think of it. Think of it like shoving two recorders in your mouth and trying to play them both at the same time. Anyway, he was ruler of Egypt, before Cleopatra. And he's obviously the father to Berenike, Arsinoe, Cleopatra, and the two Ptolemy boys. So poor old Ptolemy, he's not a very successful ruler, and he's like the starting point for everything that comes next. He's an illegitimate heir to the throne, and he has to deal with problems and challenges to his rule right from being very, very young. And it doesn't help that by the time he does get to the throne, after a couple hundred years of Ptolemaic rule, Egypt's not particularly stable. It's got a failing economy, there's political dissent, there's a big friction between the Greeks living particularly in Alexandria, who've been there since the time of Alexander the Great, who basically they're like a bit of a ruling elite, and the loads of native Egyptians who aren't keen on that. So he comes up with this solution to try and get rid of all these headaches, and he goes to Rome, because, why wouldn't you? Massive, powerful Roman. And he meets with a certain consul, a little fella called Julius Caesar, and he bribes him with 6,000 talents of silver, which is not a small sum. As a result, Caesar and Rome, because he's consul, acknowledge Ptolemy as the legitimate ruler of Egypt, and he goes home happy, thinking, brilliant, job done. Sadly though, Ptolemy's cunning plan doesn't go as well as he thinks it would do. Lots of Egyptians are really now not best pleased that Egypt is effectively a client or a client kingdom of Rome. They see it as Ptolemy's a puppet of a foreign power, and they don't like this. So when this comes to a head, Ptolemy himself, he's deposed in 58 BC, and he's driven out of Egypt. They literally chase him out of Alexandria. And he flees to Rome, where he thinks he'll be safe, and he takes with him his favourite daughter, Cleopatra. And when he's there, he's not out for the count yet. He once again seeks Roman help. Back in Egypt, though, his daughter Berenike, she's now crowned as the new ruler of Egypt, so it's not looking great for him. When he's in Rome, he meets with all these various powerful Romans, senators, money men, and so on. And he meets a man called Gabinius. Now, Gabinius agrees to help put Ptolemy back on the throne, but it's going to cost him. And there's a hefty bribe that's paid. The numbers we don't know the exact numbers, there's lots of different accounts. Some estimates are basically it's about the annual income of all of Egypt for a year. Either way, it works in the short term. Ptolemy returns to Egypt with this mercenary force paid by Gabinius, and he thinks that's it, job done. So Ptolemy comes back to Egypt with all his newfound Roman army buddies, paid for, and with Gabinius in tow. Berenike is captured and executed, and he's put back on the throne. But like I said, that's not the end of his problems. He really is not a lucky guy. The amount of money he's offered Gabinius is now so large that Egypt is massively in debt to Rome. And obviously things like grain prices have to come down. So as a result of this return to power, the Egyptians are starting to feel the pinch of Roman influence in their country. And just to make sure things go perfectly fine, Gabinius leaves a mercenary force in Egypt, partly to bolster Ptolemy's rule, make sure no one tries overthrowing him again, but also to make sure Ptolemy keeps to his end of the bargain, keeps paying up, and doesn't go rogue. So it's a bit of sword of Damocles over his head. And to top it all off, Ptolemy's problems don't even stop there. He has issues when it comes to his succession. His two sons, the two Ptolemies, they're his youngest children, so probably you'd think age-wise lowest down the line of succession, and when he dies they are still very, very young. Now obviously patriarchy and all, they would supersede any sisters they have, and they have 2 surviving sisters now that Berenike is dead. They would supersede anyone to succession, but let's face it, they're not old enough. So when he does finally die, he instructs that Cleopatra, who's his favourite daughter, is to co-rule with her younger brother Ptolemy XIII. And whilst Ptolemaic Egypt's not really a stranger to female rulers, it's more a nod to keeping the more traditional Egyptians on side and the more traditional Greeks who don't necessarily like the idea of a female ruler. So these two co-rule Egypt after Ptolemy's death, and, well, we all know how that turns out. Right, so there you go. That's who the Heck is Ptolemy XII. Do the likey, subscribey thing or whatever, but more importantly, use this to pass your exams. And until next time, ta-ra.